Hello, everyone, and welcome to our call today, introducing the unified interface for Dynamics 365 customer engagement. We're joined today by our speakers, Avey, Venable, and Brenda Torre, our dynamic duo of Dynamics 365. Avey is Arctic IT's training consultant. Her work has been focused in the Microsoft Dynamics space for 6 years, developing training curriculums and content for end users at organizations around the globe. Brenda is a solution consultant with our company. Brenda's job is to lead and support D365 CE implementations by gathering business requirements, configuring environments, workflows, integrations, and training end users. So with that, I'd like to turn the presentation over to Avey.
Great, thank you for the introduction. So you guys should all be able to see a screen right now that has our slide deck, which says today's presentation. And you should be also able to see me on the webcam. So thanks for the introduction. My name is Avey Venable. I will be speaking with you for about the first 30 minutes of this presentation. The webinar is scheduled for an hour's worth of time. So we're just wrapping up the introductions right now, and then I'm going to go through talking about what exactly is the unified interface. So some of you guys on the call may already be using it and want to know more about it. Some people who have joined us may not know really what it is at all, or you've just been asked by somebody to join this call. So I want to level set with some good foundation of what exactly we're talking about. And the unified interface is a user interface that we look at when we use Dynamics 365, that we touch to do our work. So I'm going to show you a lot about the new look and feel of it, because that is its reason to be. I'll talk a little bit about the new features. There's quite a few of them that are available to the unified interface. Some of them are things that just an administrator can turn on, and then you'll be able to see it. Some of them you'll get right away when you have switched over to the unified interface. I will also spend 2 slides just talking a little bit about some limitations of the system still, and some deprecations. Those are things that are going away and have been replaced by other items in the unified interface. So that'll take about 30-35 minutes. Then we have Brenda Torre on the call. She will be doing a demo within a unified interface environment for us. And then we'll open it up to some Q&A. So if you have questions throughout the 30-35 minute presentation and then the 10-minute demo, just jot them down so you don't forget them, and we'll be happy to take your questions at the end of the session. So what exactly is the unified interface is kind of where we're starting, and you can see a little screenshot of it on the left here. So this unified interface, it is a new look and feel to Dynamics 365 CRM. So that's the customer relationship management side of Dynamics 365. Now it's known as CE, customer engagement. So if you use CRM or CE, you're in the right place to be understanding this new unified interface that is coming to you, or you already have. This has actually been around for quite a while. It's been around since 2017 and was introduced in version 9.0. However, it was introduced not as a replacement to what is called the classic web interface. It was introduced as a new option. And we'll see in the timeline in a sec that it is going to become the only option in the future, which is why we're holding this webinar now, so that you can know a little bit more about it, because it's going to become the only option for how you look and how you see and you use Dynamics 365 CE. It is a new user interface. It affects both users of the system. So if you're an end user that completes your work in Dynamics 365, you'll see a lot of these changes that affect you. If you are an administrator who is in the back end, maybe makes some customizations to the system, you'll have some new options available to you as well. And we'll see in a few slides that it is built primarily for the more app-centric Dynamics 365, which is kind of the direction Microsoft is going with the product, to be more app-centric. So why did Microsoft decide to do a unified interface? A primary reason is that users now use Microsoft Dynamics 365 on lots of different devices. So it's not only used by users accessing on a desktop or laptop computer. More and more users are accessing it through tablet devices or through a mobile phone. So some changes came about in order to unify the experience across all of those. It also provides a really responsive web experience. So screen size, obviously screen size changes quite a bit between a laptop computer to a mobile app, really different screen sizes there. And then the orientation, so tablets tend to be more vertical, whereas laptops tend to be more horizontal. And the unified user interface now really creates an environment that is usable across all of those different options. And then we'll see as we go through the new features that there's less work for administrators in the system, and then users can now use the system more flexibly across different devices. What has been unified? One item here, there's going to be 3 that we'll see, is that the unified apps, so the Dynamics Business Applications Suite is now a lot more app-centric. So there's all these different areas that your business might work in. You might work in one of these only, you might work in a combination of these, and the unified interface better handles the combination of these different but connected work streams. Another thing that's been unified is the roles within Dynamics 365. You're now able to get a role assigned to you or multiple roles. It does support multiple roles. So maybe if you're a salesperson who also does some work with your marketing department, you could have access to multiple apps at once. And like administrators can really work to select exactly which forms should you see, which views should you see, what's appropriate to your role. So you're no longer seeing things that might not really be relevant to you. And then this is a real win, I would say, for administrators, is that previously administrators would have to create forms. So something maybe like a contact form, they'd have to create multiple versions of it. One for how it looks on a desktop or laptop computer, one for a tablet, and one for a mobile device. So that's 3 different forms to update and manage and make any customizations to. With the unified interface, these forms have all been unified, so they can manage and create one form, and it is deployed to all the devices, which is a real win for administrators. And then last thing on introducing the unified is the timeline. So again, why we're hosting a webinar like this is that cloud interface that you probably previously used or maybe are still using, that is going away. So it is what Microsoft calls deprecating in December of 2020. Originally, this was deprecating in October of 2020. So if that was the timeline you were familiar with, it did change due to COVID-19 delays and now is deprecating on December 1st of 2020. This means that organizations will need to move their D365 CE or CRM form layouts, business rules, any workflows, or any customizations you've created to extend your application for your business processes. Those are going to have to be migrated over properly to the unified interface by December 1st. So let's take a look. We haven't really seen much about what does it look like, what does it actually feel like. So we've just done some background information now. So these next slides are going to show a little bit of screenshots before Brenda later does an actual demo in the system. So it is unified across devices, as I've mentioned a couple times. Here's an actual visual on that. On the left side, we can see a mobile device, which is accessing Dynamics 365 CE. In the center, we see a laptop that is accessing it. So you can see here, we've got a really clear, clean experience across both devices, and it's a pretty optimized application across both. So they're pretty readable, and the one on the left side on the mobile phone, you can see has kind of more of a scrolling focus because phones tend to be scrolling up and down more. This is one of my favorite items. The unified interface has, I would say, become a lot more modern looking. There has been a real emphasis that Microsoft put on clutter reduction, first of all. So previously, there were quite a few icons that were repeated in multiple areas across forms. They have gotten rid of those repeats, so reducing that clutter. the white space. You might see this screenshot and say, hey, there's still kind of a lot of white space, but compared to previous Web Classic interface, there's a lot less blocks of white that have no information in them, kind of unused formatting areas. Those have gone away. And there's a lot more font standardization, so you see similar fonts across the whole platform. You know, that was driving a lot of people pretty crazy on the Web Classic interface, that there were different fonts used throughout it, and that has been standardized now. So all of these changes make it a lot friendlier for individuals to read, and especially those individuals who are working on a smaller screen. The number one item that you'll notice that is different if you are an end user is the new vertical toolbar. So this is a third toolbar that is now available. If you're used to the Web Classic interface, you are definitely used to the main two toolbars that we have previously seen. At the top, we have this word sandbox, but this toolbar is called the navigation ribbon, this dark blue one. Might be a different color at your organization. This is where you would have previously hit the word sales or marketing or whatever application your organization uses. You would have clicked the word sales up here, and then you would have navigated to find your contacts or accounts, or maybe your opportunities. Those are all what are called entities. You would have done navigation that way right from this navigation ribbon. With the new vertical toolbar, all of those different entities or areas of work that you can access are found within this left-hand side toolbar. This is a collapsible toolbar. So right now you can see it takes up a decent amount of space on the screen. This is when the toolbar is expanded. This is what it looks like. To collapse this toolbar, there are these three lines at the top left. By clicking that icon there, this would collapse the toolbar, and I would see only these icons and none of the words next to them. So it does collapse. You can see that a vertical navigation bar like this could be really useful on a mobile device, because when you have to navigate using a horizontal bar on a mobile device, it can be really difficult to click the right icon when they're all squinched in horizontally on your mobile device. So with this, it really helps support the scrolling experience. And then finally, we've got interactive dashboards here. You had dashboards previously within the Web Classic interface. I would say the dashboards now within Unified Interface, they have more interactions that you can take on them. They are more heavily embedded throughout the interface. So you probably will see more charts and graphs throughout the different areas of Dynamics 365 CE now with the Unified Interface. Power BI dashboards, this is extended as well to them. They can be embedded throughout more parts of your D365 CE. So let's take a look at the new features now that we've seen a little bit about what does the unified interface look like. These new features, I want to reiterate that you won't necessarily see all of these available within your unified interface once you switch over. A number of these do have to be turned on by an administrator and set up. So if you don't see some of these right when you play around in your unified interface, you'll need to work with your administrator to see if you can get this turned on. I feel like it's helpful to outline all the new features though, because some of these may ameliorate some pain points that you've previously experienced with the system. So you'll want to know what new features are available. So I'll start out back on dashboards. If you have created your own dashboard or used dashboards within D365 CE, you've been using single stream dashboards. So that means that maybe you had a dashboard if you're a salesperson, maybe you work on closing opportunities. And so maybe you have a dashboard that's your opportunities dashboard. You see your open opportunities, you see your recently closed ones, maybe you see your pipeline of the revenue you expect to gain if these opportunities that are active get won. That is an example of a single stream dashboard where every view, every chart within it is around one entity. And again, an entity is something like leads, opportunities, contacts. With Unified Interface, administrators do have the ability to set up multi-stream dashboards, and these pull in streams of data from different entities. So if you see on the screenshot on the left, we have 3 charts at the top that are all about leads, but at the bottom we have some other entities that are in the mix with this multi-stream dashboard. We have some information about our competitors that might be vying for these leads. We see some information about quote products, and we see some information on the current marketing campaigns that are going on that might bring in some more leads. So that can be really useful to build a dashboard that sees multiple entities at once. Within dashboards as well, we now have some more filtering capabilities. So I encourage you, when you do switch over, or if you already have switched over to the unified interface, if you do use charts across your dashboard, you do have some more available visual filters than you did previously. You can more easily adjust the time frames of your data and change the view being used right within the dashboard. So that's pretty nice new capability to enhance your filtering. Quick Create, this is something that was available before. You may have used it. It is this plus icon within the navigation ribbon. Quick Create allows you to quickly create a new record of various entity types. So if you need to suddenly create a new contact or account, people often use Quick Create when they're on a screen that they need to keep on the screen. So maybe I'm on an account record right now, but I've heard about a new contact that is associated with this account, and I don't want to leave the account screen, but I do want to create this new contact. Quick Create has previously allowed you to do that. A change with the unified interface is that Quick Create now allows you to create activities using the Quick Create button. This was previously a limitation. You could create things like contacts or accounts, but activities you were unable to create. So this is really useful if you are maybe having a phone call, you have a current phone call activity open with a customer, and during the phone call, that customer sets up a meeting with you, and you want to stay on that phone call record while you're still in the middle of the call, but you maybe want to create a new activity for this upcoming meeting or upcoming appointment. You would be able to stay on your phone call record, hit this plus button, and go over to activities where we've got this little caret to the right of it, and we'd be able to select a new appointment activity and create it right there while we are on the call. So huge deal if you use activities within your organization. We have a new search capability as well. This does have to be turned on by administration, but the previous search function was called categorized search. That is a search that is still available to you. That is a search where you type in a search term and the results that get brought in are categorized by their record type. So you would see all of the results for contacts, all the results for accounts separated out. With relevant search, we get a really fast search where you type in your search terms, and then any results where the search term is repeatedly used would go to the top. So you get the most relevant results right at the top. So rather than be separated out by the type of record, we now get the most relevant items. So in this typed in the word George as my search term, and then we've got a contact here whose last name is George. She also has George in her email address. So George comes up 2 times within that. We also see that with this George Sullivan contact record as well. The lead and contact at the bottom only have the word George in the record once, and so they are less relevant according to D365CE's relevance search. There is an option now for something called Relationship Assistant. This is kind of an example of what I would consider customer insights. So this is some embedded intelligence that is right in D365CE. It helps you analyze your interaction data with customers or clients, whoever you work with. We're all working with people in some fashion if we're working with customer relationship management system. And this helps us better understand our relationships and makes predictions for next steps. So Relationship Assistant can be used, there's really 2 ways it can be used within the system. One is within this navigation ribbon at the top, you can click this light bulb icon, which will open up Relationship Assistant and show you all of the examples of suggestions it has for you across the system. Administrators who build forms as well can embed what are called Relationship Assistant action cards. They're right here. We see them on the bottom left of this screenshot. So this action card tells us that CE notices that this opportunity is going to be closing pretty soon, and it's here to notify us that, hey, it might be the right time to make some action if this is about to close soon. There are a lot of out-of-the-box actions or insights that CE comes with, but an administrator can go to the Sales Insights area of settings and set up their own action cards outside of the default ones. So some examples of what actionable insights might be outside of that an opportunity is closing soon might be that if CE sees that you recently maybe wrote an email to a contact and no follow-up emails have happened after that, it might notify you that, hey, 3 days have passed, it's time maybe to email this customer again, or maybe the relationship assistant will notify you that tomorrow there's a meeting coming up. So if you want to use this, it is available, and these action cards can be built right into your forms. And something to note is that users will also have the ability to snooze or dismiss these. So they don't just stay there in perpetuity. They can be snoozed or dismissed. Business process flows, these have been around since about 2013, I believe, but they have gotten a refresh. So if you previously used business process flows, this item that is kind of highlighted on this screenshot might look a bit different than your previous flows. So this kind of allows us to map the stage that something like an opportunity is in. It really helps guide users to consistently do a process. So it streamlines the organization to have every user go through the same steps in order to, for example, close this opportunity. There are plenty of like out-of-the-box business process flows, but you are able to reconfigure new ones as well. And this makes sure everybody, for example, in the qualify stage, gets all of this information before they move to the next stage. The stages that have a target on them, those indicate the active stage. Stages with nothing in them have not been started, and the circles turn completely to red when the stage has been completed, and then it moves into the next stage. There is a new tab structure within Forms now. This helps kind of simplify navigation. So in this example, we're looking at a contact form. And rather than having to scroll really far down to get all the way to the files that are associated on Yvonne McKay, now we're going to use these tabs that are on our forms. So I would just be able to click files and take a look at all of those rather than having to scroll all the way to the bottom of this contact record. We also see on this tab structure, we see the word related right here. So I wanted to highlight that. This now allows you to easily access connected or related records to whatever record you're on. So right now we're looking at the Coho Winery account record. And if I want to take a look at maybe who are all the contacts associated with Coho Winery, or do we have any current opportunities with this account, I would be able to just stay on the account record, hit related, and then click opportunities, for example. And I would stay here, but I would be able to see the related opportunities. So this can really help you not have to go to all these different entities and areas throughout the system and kind of data mine for exactly what you're looking for. You can now stay on the original record and not navigate away from it. Within subgrids, subgrids are still available. They were available within the Web Classic interface, but I would just say that they're quite a bit more friendly now. If you've been using D365 CE on your mobile phone, subgrids are a lot easier to work with on a phone. You can see how this might be a challenge, but they've really done a good job with it in the unified interface. There is also an ellipsis icon at the top of subgrids, which allows you to take a lot more actions than before on your subgrid. So here we see that we could add a new contact, we could sort this list, we could run a report on it. You can multi-select items here as well. So we get a lot more actions that we can take within subgrids. We also have something now that is available that is called the reference panel. So this is kind of similar to the related tab or what we saw with subgrids in that it allows you to stay on the same record. You don't have to navigate away from it, and you can see related or contextual information. So in this screenshot, we have a subgrid of competitors here, and the competitors are indicated by this icon, kind of looks like a little brain to me. And then we've got this icon here, which has two contacts and a slash through them. This indicates our marketing list. So I'm able to toggle between kind of different related subgrids using this reference panel option. We have a scroll panel now that is available in the unified interface. This I find really, really helpful. Again, this is kind of with the intention of not making you navigate to all these different areas of the system. This is again with the intention of easy navigation and letting you remain on records without having to go to all these different areas. So how this is used is that, for example, if I want to, maybe I have a call list and I want to go through all of these accounts and I need to call representatives at all of them, I would be able to click accounts, open up an account, and then open up this scroll panel, and I can easily just go to the next account using this scroll panel, click by click. And it'll, each time I click, so if I clicked Litware, this screen would then change over to Litware Inc. So this is useful. It means I now don't have to always go back to accounts and click the next one to open it. I can just use this scroll panel to kind of view these other records that are available within a list. Directly within Forms, we still have the timeline. Previously, I think this was called the social pane. It's also been called the activity panel. There's also a notes area within here. This is where you see any emails, phone calls, appointments you might have had with something like a contact. So we're now able to see all of these different activity types within one area in the timeline, and better yet, we can filter them down really easily. So you'll notice that there is a filter icon here. I'm able to see everything in one place, and if I maybe only want to see the recent emails, I could just filter this down to emails. So it is just more actionable. These enhanced filter capabilities really just allowing you to take more of the appropriate actions you need and do all of that in a much easier way than before. So just want to talk a little bit about the limitations. I'm nearly at the half-hour point, which is how long I kind of wanted to take talking to you before we move into the demonstration. With the limitations, we've got a couple things on here. Some of this may mean nothing to you if you're not an administrator. If you are an administrator type and you were jazzed to maybe implement the learning path into D365 CE, take a look at this list and maybe jot down anything that you were anticipating using, because these are still unavailable in the unified interface. So I would encourage you to take a look on Microsoft's website and type in any of these search terms that you wanted to find out more on when they will be available. I would just jot them down here. These are the ones we saw had limitations. So if you're an administrator, that might be helpful for you. And then finally, with deprecations, we've got a number of items here. None of these, as you will see, have fully gone away. What they've done is they've replaced them under the umbrella of a different item. So something like task flows and dialogues, these terms, if you're an administrator, you're probably pretty familiar with these. These are now under the umbrella and have been replaced by business process flows. If you use contracts, these have been replaced by entitlements in D365. That's specific to customer service. Standard SLAs or service level agreements have now been replaced by something called enhanced SLAs. And then finally, the term relationship roles that has gotten a new branding into connection roles. So with that, I want to turn it over to Brenda. We're going to have a little bit of time to do a demonstration. So Brenda, I'm going to make you presenter. And if you want to turn your webcam on and say hi, you should be able to do that in just a second as soon as I switch it over to you. All right, and you should be getting that presenter notification in a moment. Great, I can see your screen, Brenda.
Fantastic. All right, let me just move this over. Hi, everyone. I'm going to be demoing today. I'm so excited. Avey, you did a great job. This was got me excited basically as a system admin, as a consultant. I'm always excited when new features come out. So I hope that you guys are also excited. Avey did a fantastic job. We're going to be sending out the PowerPoint so you guys have this as reference material. But we just want to take a few minutes today to actually walk you through the system and show you firsthand some of these really exciting features. So I'm going to turn off my webcam just so everybody can see the presentation full screen. So not in exact order of how we did the presentation, a little bit of a different order. I'm going to kind of walk through some of these features at a high level. So obviously the biggest new feature that is going to really affect and change the user experience is with our navigation. So as Avey mentioned before, we're still leveraging a component of this top level navigation. I use an unofficial term of breadcrumbs because this kind of shows you where you are in the system. These are still interactive. You're still able to select them, but really your the primary manner in which you're going to be navigating is this left-hand vertical toolbar. And one of the great aspects of what Microsoft has done with this new unified interface is they are really trying to maximize how much data and information we can see on one screen. So we can actually expand and collapse this. And at some point, you're going to be able to get really good at, knowing what these icons are and select them. But I think that this increase in space is really helpful and you're able to see more meaningful data versus just the navigational bar. Because truly, right, once you've navigated to a section, you don't necessarily need that up all the time. So, and at a high level, I also, for anyone on the call that's a little bit more technical, system admin background, or even if you're working with your system administrator, another feature that I want to just quickly go over, and I know we touched on this in the PowerPoint, was this idea or structure of something called a model-driven application, okay, which is what this whole new unified interface is built upon. And so what that really means is I can toggle between different applications, okay? The reason that this is such a powerhouse, that this is just so important, is because this can be tied to security, and this can just completely change in a great way how your users, how the end users, how your team is using the system, what they're seeing, and how efficient their process is. So right now, you'll notice that I'm in the Sales Hub application. But if your team is leveraging sales, Dynamics 365 for sales, field service, and maybe customer service, we could easily, if you need to, you can toggle between these two to get a quick feel for or sense of what's going on from a customer service oriented application, right? And you could standardize this based on your team and what they need to see. Because a lot of times, not everyone necessarily has to see everything within the system. And I know that as a consultant, many times people have asked me, Brenda, how can we adjust the site map? I don't want my entire team who's in sales seeing the marketing or field service features because they don't use them. Well, this is a really great way to reorganize your system, the layout, your security, and these are just really important things to consider as we approach that December 1st deadline. Whether you're working with us or doing some of these customizations on your own, really take some time to, challenge yourself. Look at how your teams are structured, what data in the system or sections in the system that they're seeing or using, and this is a great opportunity to refresh those points and organize your software. You have a lot of control over it. So that's what's really, really exciting about this new unified interface, among many other things that we're going to review today. But as you can tell, I'm pretty pumped for this feature. I think it's going to help a lot of companies and organizations. So I wanted to go into, just to start, we'll actually go into a record. And then I'll end with showcasing some dashboards and searching features. So let me collapse our navigation here. I wanted to highlight that scroll and in real time show you exactly what Avey did a great job of explaining, which is we're able to toggle between different leads quickly which I absolutely love. It's so nice. You don't have to have one view in a tab and be opening different records on a new tab. You can quickly get all the information you need. And now a lot of times, right, we could argue that a lot of these details are part of our main view. But if you need some really specific details, or you want to quickly see all the email interactions that you had with a recent lead and kind of go down your call list, it makes this user experience so seamless, so much better. So I'm very excited for this feature. It's a very subtle feature, but I think that it really can impact the team and the usability a lot. Within this record too, one of the other features Avey mentioned was this pop out basically. Now our business, these flows, these process flows have been around for a while, but as some of you who've been working with CRM or as an end user of CRM for some time, you probably remember not that long ago, it was a huge block here and all these fields were jammed in to this little section. Well, now not only is it a drop down, but we can expand it and it kind of populates over here on the right hand side, similar to like a quick create, but you're able to really clearly and easily see your data. That's important. Another great feature is within the subgrids. Avey also demonstrated this, but we're able to navigate between subgrids, which is really cool. Before, if you can remember, or if this is brand new to you, previously you would have to kind of separate each subgrid or related entity in these different sections below. This makes it very easy to toggle and get the data that you need quickly. We also briefly talked about timelines. The filter's a lot better. We're able to filter on, similar to other filters within the system. We can filter by record type, activity type, status, and that way you can kind of organize to see maybe your team's not using posts, or maybe they're exclusively using posts. Well, we can kind of customize this a little bit better so you're not seeing system related posts, you're only seeing email activities or phone call activities. It makes it a lot cleaner and a lot friendlier to use. So I think these are some really great examples of, some subtle features, but they really make a big impact as far as day-to-day how your team is using the system. Another, just a little thing I wanted to highlight, not too dissimilar from this flow dropdown. You'll notice that the header is actually separated as well, which is a very nice feature. It's just part of the new unified interface. I don't think that they gave it a particular name, but it's a lot easier and faster actually to use. I'm sure some people have been frustrated trying to click into header elements of a record before, and it's kind of laggy, it's a little slow, it takes a while to update. You'll notice a big increase in speed overall as you interact with the new unified interface. Another great feature that I'm excited about, and now you don't always have to leverage your system this way. Sometimes we can keep it one singular form like it used to be, but the tabs feature I think also really helps step your team through a process, right? So we can use these business process flows, but I've seen a lot of clients actually use tabs as sort of a process flow as well. And you'll notice that you're doing a lot less scrolling and you're able to organize data in a much more clear and concise way. So I think that's awesome as well. And the other feature I wanted to show, hopefully I'm not moving too quickly, you guys. I'm just excited and I know it's a lot of content. So the other feature that we did speak about was the assistance application and the notification reminders. So I hopped into an opportunity, and this is really great because this feature, the assistance feature, as well as our relevance search, it uses components of Azure Search and artificial intelligence, which is pretty awesome. So this is embedded and it can tell, hey, I noticed that this opportunity is closing. Is there another actionable item you need to do before our close date hits, right? So the assistant is a really cool tool, and it used to not be completely available for everyone, but now it's an out-of-the-box feature that anybody can leverage. And like Avey had noted, you can, basically get it to go away by saying, oh, this was useful, or snooze this or close it out as a reminder. But it's really awesome. And I think the idea with D365, we're really heavily leaning more towards artificial intelligence. How much can we automate? What can the system do to help your team be the most efficient in whatever their task is, whether it's responding to customer issues and sentiment, right? Or if it's part of your sales process, you're going to start to see a lot more of these features are just part of your product offering. And the assistance, the relationship assistant, is one of those features. One of the last things that I wanted to quickly demo was within relevance search. This is a feature I'm really excited about. As my time as a consultant, I've had a lot of, I don't want to say complaints, but not everybody was always as pleased with the more classic search navigation. Relevance search is totally breaking that. So I'm going to give you 2 examples for today. So if I type in the word home, it's going to come up with the most relevant item first, right? So we're going to see that we have campaigns, opportunities, all these different entities or record types that contain the word home, okay? That's not too different from what it was before, although it does give us some different stats and we're able to drill down into some data. But they also have a feature, sorry, help if I spelled this correctly, which depending on the grammar, it's intuitive enough to know to grab the full word, right? So even if stream is part of the word streaming, it's grabbing this opportunity record. So this is a pretty big deal because it senses inflection, right, in different grammar. And not only are we able to search now across entities or areas of CRM that you enable, but a huge feature is that we're able to, again, this is a feature that you have to turn on, so keep that in mind, but you're able to search within documents found in notes and attachments and on emails, which I cannot tell you the number of times that has been a request. So I think it's a real game changer. It's a great feature. And if you guys are, as you move to the unified interface, I definitely would encourage you to turn it on because it's very fast. And it encompasses so much. It's a very smart tool. It's built on Azure Search, which may not mean much to anyone, but it's very quick and it's intuitive. It's really smart. So it's going to grab anything with that word, and we don't have to be constantly typing in asterisks anymore, right? It's just going to know. So I think that that's a really one exciting, great feature. And then the last thing that I wanted to end with was dashboards. So let me go to my metrics dashboard. This is a multi-stream dashboard that I created for this demo. And there's some different components that I wanted to showcase today. So this may look kind of similar at first, but we get a really awesome count if we switch to this stream view, which for someone like me who loves data and analytics, I want to quickly know how many records are in a view without having to scroll or export to Excel. So this to me is a great feature, something that's, people have requested for a long time. I can show my visual filters. So part of the PowerPoint, one of the things that we referenced was that we could have multi-stream or single stream interactive dashboards. So previously, we were only able to have single stream. And just to reiterate what that means is it was dedicated to one entity. So I could only see data and kind of manipulate it so many different ways from the leads entity. I could only see leads together, for instance. But with a multi-stream dashboard, plus the fact that it's interactive, I'm able to pull, activities, cases, and goal metrics and tie them to different cases that, are open right now. And on top of it, if a case is related to, this, of course, it's related to this active case view. This is similar data, but maybe it's also tied to activities or metrics. You're able to drill down and you'll notice that your views auto filter based on that. In my opinion, it's a much simpler, cleaner way to view your data. It's very quick. It's updating constantly, basically. And they've embedded a lot of really cool, basically filters, quick filters, so to speak, that you can apply to your data in real time. So to me, this just really helps equip the team out of the box. It's a lot less to customize, which I think just puts the power back into your hands, into the customer hands. And I think it's a great feature. It's something that's been, people have requested to be able to have dashboards that pull in data from all different parts of CRM for a long time. So this is a huge update. This unified interface is great in so many ways, especially from a data perspective as well. So those were some of the things that I wanted to highlight for you guys. I hope that you've enjoyed our presentation today. We had a great time putting it together. And I think at this time we'll take any questions that anybody has.
Thank you, Avey and Brenda. That was a wonderful presentation. We did have a question that came in. First question, is it possible for me as a non-technical user in sales development to create my own personal relationship card reminder, or will I need help from a CE admin?
It is an administrative task, so you probably will need some help if you don't have those permissions. So I would just recommend reaching out to if you have a system admin in-house, and I'll see if I can find a link. It's pretty intuitive on setting it up in the back end, but I'll see if I can find a link that we can send out after that helps to put that together. But yeah, unfortunately, you'll probably need some elevated permissions. It's possible you have it, but if you're just a general user, in my mind, it's more of a system admin piece.
Okay.
Great question.
We also had just a couple comments. Just a comment that said, thank you, Avey. I will be using that quick create activity all the time now.
Good.
And also they're loving the tabs in the new interface. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds like we have a couple of folks who are already on the interface, so glad to hear that.
Okay. I don't see any more questions coming in. So with that, we'll wrap up this webinar. And again, thank you. It was a fantastic webinar. And we look forward to the next one. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.